I would like to call the Special Finance Committee meeting to order at 4 o'clock. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let it be noted that both board members are present. And then, are there any changes to the agenda at all?
No changes to the agenda that I'm aware of.
Okay. So can we get a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the agenda.
And I will second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion passes. And then public comment. I don't see anybody anywhere.
There's nobody online or in person.
All right. Approval of minutes. I looked the minutes over and they look good to me. So I will approve the minutes. Motion to approve the minutes.
I will second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, we'll move on to item 4, which is review of the 25-26 draft budget.
Go ahead, David.
Thank you, Don. Good evening, directors. Starting off, I guess, the review of the full draft budget document. This is what we submit annually to GFOA and CSMFO for awards. And you'll see it on big page 9 is the GFOA budget award we received for this budget year, and on page 10 is the CSMFO budget we received for this budget year that we are currently in. We go to big page 14 is the message from the general manager. The letter that just kind of states the budget process, where we've been as a district, some accomplishments, some upcoming challenges for us. And on page 17 is a summary of the revenues and expenses for this current year we're in and the budget year coming up. You guys, we can kind of flow through page by page. There is some updates on the next pages, or if you guys want to jump in and you guys have any questions. I believe I was made aware of a typo in this table on page 17. For government revenue, they're in the middle. For estimated year end 24-25, the number says $3,025,021. That number should be $3,025,001. So that discrepancy, that's a $20 typo there, and then all of the other numbers will add up after that.
Okay.
Page 19, we have our current board member with their length of their terms and our district management. Be honest, I'm pretty excited about pages 20 through 25. This was a little bit of an upgrade to what we've been doing. Jennifer helped me in putting this together, so there's some updated district information along with the area demographics that we were looking at. With our page 23, we can see a comparison table for 1-inch meters at 11 HCF compared to most other water agencies in the high desert.
Is 1 inch the standard or 3/4?
For our area, it's 1 inch. And that's why previously this table always showed 3/4 inch for a long time, but we figured majority of our connections are 1 inch, so we switched that over. We're looking at district water affordability in the chart on page 25. Looks at the annual cost of water compared to the median household incomes in the different areas. And a lot of these district profile demographics, these comparisons that we do are part of the guidelines to meet the budget qualifications for GFOA and CSMFO. They ask for certain things, so we had to add a few more stats in here that they were asking for. That's that. Then from there on, for a long ways, it just gets into a lot of narrative, which doesn't change much year to year. There are some adjustments we make later on that just describe some of the variances from our actuals compared to what was budgeted and what's budgeted next year. We start getting into some percentage changes. Is there anywhere specific that you guys would like to review or point out?
Were you going to touch on page 42 when we get there, Don, or are we going to, the organizational chart?
Yes, we do have an updated organizational chart. It's not official yet, but we can use, this is, as of this moment, is the organizational chart. But we do have another one which is still probably preliminary, but I think pretty close. So my recommendation would be that we use the one that is actually in the book, but with updated names at the top right corner.
Okay.
Oh, good catch. If this gets approved before June, the next meeting at the end of May or sometime, then I can swap that out. But this is what we have as of now that's approved. Update those names. On page 44, the job classifications and salary ranges. This schedule is approved within the budget process or within the budget. These salary ranges include a 3% estimated COLA that we discussed, kind of approved in the budget process when we were looking at the numbers earlier. So that 3% here is applied to these salary ranges and will be updated when we get the actual COLA. What do we do? On July 30th, August 1st is the COLA we use. Big page 49 starts our department presentations. Description of each department with some performance measures. And on page 49, the customer service activity performance measures. This is a look at it annual for the last 5 years. Another criteria for the budget awards. And we do put these measurements out to you monthly. I believe you guys look at these stats of the payments processed and some of those stats. And on the bottom one, you can see investment income over the last 5 years, or 4 years with the target for this year.
So these are times, these are not dollars, right?
As in the customer
Occurrences?
service payments processed? Is that what you're looking at?
Well, all of it. So some of it's cash, some of it's dollars?
Um,
All of it's dollars.
just the investment income is dollars, everything else is quantity.
Okay. So it's occurrences.
Yes.
Okay.
And then for the investment income, that's going down a little bit because we're using some of the money because of the projects. that are starting.
Yeah, that's why I'm estimating, yes. And with a slightly, not much, but a slightly lower interest rate, only somewhere between 0.25 and 0.5%, but majority of it is due to spending.
Thank you.
On page 55, we get into the water operations performance measures and their completed projects for this year and their goals.
I wanted to comment on, at the top of page 55, big 55, and you see the service line replacements, the actuals and everything. I was talking to Sean the other day, and for the first time that he can remember, we went for 4 days without a service line leak. So we're, when you have over 7,000 service lines, and some of these service lines have 20 to 25, I think maybe even up to 30 clamps on a line where they've been repaired over the years. Mostly under the county. We don't play that same game. We replace them after they leak once, or the second time. But no leaks for, today would have been day 5, I believe.
Saves a lot of time and money doing it right the first time.
A
that's
lot of
for
time and
sure.
money and a lot of water too.
The Park and Rec performance measures are on page 58 with their goals for some of their events that they put on, a lot of the painting classes, the movie nights, baking classes, working with other committees. And on page 63 starts the financial summary.
If we go back to page 59 real quick on streetlights,
Absolutely.
when it looks like, says identify additional locations that may benefit from streetlights. Do we have to pay for the installation or does the county pay for the installation of those?
Yeah, I've got the answer on that one. When the district was first formed, we could call Edison up and they would install a streetlight. If the people wanted it, nobody complained, we could have it put in, we'd pay about approximately $10 a month
Yeah,
for the.
it's cheap. Yeah.
Now it's $10,000 to put in a street light. So we are not actively looking for street lights to put in because we just don't have the budget for it.
It almost seems like something the county would help with too,
Yeah.
since
yeah.
it's on their roads and their streets. and it's
Exactly.
for public safety, yeah. Okay.
It's Kind of hard to picture 92 streetlights going down Sheep Creek and Phelan Road.
Yeah.
Where else are they?
Not very many other places. Just take a look at how many there are downtown and heading out that way. There are quite a few. We do have a map if you ever want to see one.
Yeah, it would kind of add up quick if you're looking at both sides of the street and then you just go this way, this way. You only got to go about 10 lights up each way. On page 65, we look at a budget overview, which is somewhat similar to what was in the letter from the general manager in the first couple of pages. Our water revenue budgeted for 25-26 assumes a rate change that will provide an additional 6.5% in revenue for meter fees and water consumption, plus assumes an additional 48 meter connections. And then the water rates. Okay. Total net operational income is projected to be $10,145,000, an increase of $580,000 compared to the estimated current year in operating revenue. Page 76 through 80 is the detailed line by line items that we've been through and approved, unless nothing else has changed in those numbers. Page 81 looks at our fund balance and cash flow projections, and you can see a historical fund balance table at the bottom. The blue for the enterprise funds for the last 6 years, and green for government. Page 83 is a debt service, the summary for the 2 years for our 3 loans. We had one fall off this year. I believe the Caltrans loan was paid off in the early of this budget year. Well, this fiscal year we're currently in. Page 84 is another table of the annual debt service through maturity, the outstanding balances. Page 87 starts a narrative of the capital improvement projects. This is just a brief description with some of each capital project that we have listed on the CIP plan that's been to the committee and to the board and approved by the board.
I do have a question. So how do I relate on page 76 at the bottom, the net capital project purchases 3.2 million to this page? I was struggling trying to Match it.
To, which page?
Page 76 in the packet,
Right.
and the column, all total funds. Go all the way to the bottom. You've got that negative 3.2 million. I'm assuming that we are going to be working on a capital project for 3.2 million. Where do I find what project that goes to?
Oh, the 3.2 is, okay, both parks and that. Okay. So the 3.2 million, and you're saying how do you compare it to,
Does it show up on these, in these project descriptions? I guess it'd be 3.5 million if we look under government funds, because you're right, that was a summary of both.
net capital purchases? Okay. So
Or am I even understanding that right? It just means we're
So-
doing a project, right?
correct. So can we, page 76 is a summary of the detail, the next three or four pages detail it out.
Okay.
So page 80 is where that what you're looking at, 3.2 million or 3.5. And so those numbers come from, if we're looking at page 80, line 172, right?
Right.
Okay. So the 3.2 is the net capital and project purchases. So it's what we're spending on capital less the net income. So if you're trying to tie the capital expenses, you want to look at line capital project spending, line 171 of the 4.184 million.
And are those the two wells? I'm thinking.
Majority of it is yes.
Okay.
And then we have some other little projects in there, here and there. And so each amount is detailed in there.
So,
Nope, sorry, I'm not going to say that. The majority of that is not the wells.
okay.
The wells, the spending for that is recouped in the Chromium 6. So the funding for that comes from the Chromium 6 funds. So we don't put this in this capital spending. The 4-point-something million is the government's portion of the Civic Center, mainly, is when you look at page Civic Center. So then we're going to look at if you look at page 90, 90 is a summary of what you were just reading, the capital improvement projects, pages 87 through 89, all the narrative of each project, right? And it lists amounts in there. So then page 90 just lists out their values and then where the funding is coming from. So when we're looking at the total, it is the total spending of 4.1 million.
Total CIP projects? No, above that. Total government fund projects? 1.4 or 4.1, sorry.
That is most of it, yes.
So in 25-26, page 90, that tells us everything we're going to plan on working on in all these areas, amounting to 19 million
Yes.
in 1 year.
That is the plan, what is in the CIP plan, yes. Now, some stuff is probably going to take a little bit longer. Say the Civic Center. We put, the CIP plan's not in this packet. I think the full $6 million is in 1 year is in 25, 26. So that's why it's on this chart as the full 6 million. So if we start it this year and we take 12 to 18 months is the projection, 18 months maybe. If we start it this year, it could go 6 months into the next budget year. But based on what's in the CIP plan for 25, 26 is what this represents.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around it. So,
Yes, it is.
I don't know of another way to ask. I see this page, and this page makes sense for the most part because you're saying where you're getting the funding. But I guess I still don't see how it relates to the 3.2 on here. Although it says it's C6, it relates to C6, so chromium 6.
So I guess if we want to break down each line, if we start on enterprise funds,
I think I've got
Phelan Park.
You got
The
it?
chromium 6 line is the 2 wells and the tank. And the tank up here at 6A.
Okay.
So, and,
But-
yes, it was with $3.8 million for the wells and 2.7, I think, believe for the tank.
yes,
Yeah.
for the tank in, was that in this year?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, I think I'm reading it wrong. So the 4.1 are probably the 2 tanks, or the 2 wells in the tank. And then out of that, we pull from the chromium 6, 3.2 million we've collected so far. It goes against it? No, sorry.
So it is, so if we start on the enterprise fund, so on that line, we're trying to get to, so the $566,000.
Wait, which page are we on?
Okay, page 80,
Okay,
because you want to get to the 3.2 on, so that's actually line 172, right? You're trying to figure out what the 3.2 million is?
correct.
Okay. So if we look at the enterprise budget, that number is the 375. Now that's just net capital from what we have to spend based on the depreciation number. So our depreciation for enterprise is 940,000. And if we have 60% to spend, oh no, 947 is the 60%. So our total depreciation is like 1.6 million. So we have $941,000 to spend on capital.
Okay,
And in enterprise, we're going to spend $566,000 on capital. And that $566,000 is made up of the electrical panel replacements for $450,000, the urban water management plan, and one vehicle. What was that vehicle in water operations? It wasn't a truck. It was, he switched it to something else.
Yeah, it was equipment.
Some type of equipment, yeah. So that makes up the $500,000. The wells are not included in this funding because the wells are funded through the chromium 6 surcharge.
okay,
And the civic center is not a part of this funding because we already have loan funds for that.
I see. That would make sense too. Okay.
So then when we move to the government side, the government only has $42,000 to spend based on their depreciation. But they're going to spend 3.6 million, which is made up of their portion of the Civic Center and some of the, let's see, the Phelan Park expansion enhancement projects. So they're going to spend the 3.6 million, in which nets a negative 3.575. So the 3.5 million is coming from their operating cash.
Okay. So it really has nothing to do with C6.
Chromium 6, it does not.
Just happened to fall in that line, the note. Okay. Probably just a note for the bottom.
Yes,
And
it
just
is. It
happened
is
to.
a whole, little, goes with the little narrative over there of
Gotcha.
just some more
Okay.
notes.
Okay, that helped me. Thank you.
So I should probably move that note down 2 lines so it does not tie with the value.
Yeah, I was thinking I went with it, so I was trying to understand it. That's cool. Thank you.
No, Page 94 looks at some more statistics and historical information for the district. Gives you kind of a tracking of the number of connections over the last 10 years. Along with the average water bill. The 10 largest system users for this year. Page 95 is a chart of the number of meters and also water production gallons pumped. So you can see we're below the 2020-21 year and the 21-22 year in which we had the increased usage that we had to put a stop to.
Was that the farm and the, yeah,
Those would say, I guess.
the illegal crops and that
Yes,
too? Okay,
yes.
that's what I thought.
Page 96 is the historical chart of the water rates. For this budget year, we're looking at rates that will be effective 7/1/05. These rates are the 6% rates, 6% increase to rates that we approved at the last, board meeting we discussed. The rates for 26-27, those are what were approved in the water rate study in 2023. So, and those rates, I guess we have stated, will be reviewed every year to see if we need to do what was suggested, or are we in a better place than that? Page 97 is some historical information regarding the water rights, showing that we purchased water rights in the Meadowbrook Dairy in 2012, some more water rights from Aqua Capital in 2015, and then all of this, it shows, I guess the last line in bold is that we were saving over $1 million in 2024 from purchasing these water rights, not having to pay the overproduction fees.
If we don't use that allotment, does the free production allowance carry over for 1 year, 5 years,
Yeah, the
As
free
long as-
production allowance carries over for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, for 2 years. We're kind of winding down on that, but if they hold it in abeyance for a little while, we should be good for maybe 4 to 5 years. We'll have to see what they do in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Can you see that? I guess page 98 and 99 is a budget brochure. That's part of the guidelines that we're asked to create. Just notice some summary of certain items in there that we've already reviewed within the budget document.
Will that get mailed out or emailed out, or is it just for our reference?
Yes, just for reference. I believe we print this and we might have this brochure available at the counter. That is it. There's a lot of detail in there of some other narratives about certain line items, percentage changes, the district history, capital projects. If you guys have read through it, or if you guys have more questions, like to discuss more things, there are some. I forget. I'm still looking to update the solid waste department structure, what we're going to do with that. So that's something I had highlighted in there that we still need to review and update. So I think that was the last piece I was waiting on.
It's a big document.
I don't have any further questions. Director Mills,
Give me just a sec.
you got it.
I was just looking for a note, and it may have been in solid waste, which if that's the case,
Take your time.
it doesn't matter, because you're going to change it. It was. Okay, no other questions.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
With that, we will move on to committee comments. Director Mills.
So much work. Thank you guys for doing all the work. I truly appreciate and the explanations of them. And you had mentioned earlier that we have, 2 months to go before a budget gets approved? Is it June or
6 weeks, maybe? What is it? 5
month and a
weeks?
half?
Yeah, the budget could be approved. We've had it as early as in May.
Oh, it can be
you
early.
know,
Okay.
It's on the schedule
Yeah,
to
it's
go
on the
to
dates,
June 26th. I think sounds familiar. It's the
I
last
believe it's June 11th.
June 11th.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was the
Last
first
Friday.
meeting in
Okay.
June,
Okay.
yeah.
So if we see anything, we just mention it between now and then.
Yes.
We got
Yes.
plenty of time. Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
And then I have no comments,
you.
except thank you to staff for putting the document together and doing an excellent job and going through everything with us. You've done it multiple times, and I greatly appreciate that. Move on to item 6, review of action items. Anything from the prior meeting
There was none.
and current meeting?
I have none noted.
And we will set the agenda for the next regular meeting, which will be July 15th. Thank you very much. And with that, we will adjourn at 4:41.